Checkity check. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Here, you guys. Checking. Okay, check, 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 check. I'm getting in the yellow. Don't want to be too red. Okay, that's too much. Checking. Check, check, check. I'm talking in a normal voice. I'm peaking a little bit though. That's okay. Checking again. Alright, here we go. Thank you for your patience, guys. Oh no. Okay. My encoder was like, not today. I'm glad to know this now. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. Hello. Thanks for coming in. Just getting all my shit together here. Sorry. I look like a deer in headlights. My encoder on my other streams just dropped on me, so I am trying to fix it, but we'll just see what we can do. Alright. Hello there. Hi. I'm Sophie of standwithsophie.com. Hi, Wireless. Good morning. It's actually almost noon my way, so I'm a little late getting on today. So sorry about that. But I am here to give you your headlines from the future, my friends. I know we can't go without those. So I will jump right in because I know we want to get into it. But again, I'm Sophie of standwithsophie.com, which is your home for survival guides, live trainings, printable action cards in multiple languages, secure comms, literally everything you need to get through Trump's Fourth Reich safely together. Okay, friends? So check me out, standwithsophie.com. But today I'm just here as your expat friend. I was lucky enough to escape the United States. So since I live in the UK now, I'm here 5 hours into America's future to give you the headlines that might be important to you today. Thank you so much for tapping. Thank you so much for everybody coming in. I really appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Just so you know, if you're watching on TikTok, you're not seeing the visuals and the headlines and stuff, but I'm literally just kind of going through some of the news that I think is important. Again, I know there's a lot going on as far as like the Diddy trial and stuff like that, but I really only want to cover the stuff that I think is really poignant to the time. That's really talking about how the headlines we see are echoing the trajectory that a certain person took in the 1930s and 40s. And so, you know, we'll be talking about some of those things today. As always, I start with our poor friend in Georgia, Miss Adriana Smith. Just for a quick update on her, this is day 119 that her lifeless body is being kept animated to be an experimental incubator for her fetus, who is now, I think, about 25 weeks. She was declared brain dead at 9 weeks gestation. And so this whole time, her parents are being forced to pay the bill and foot the bill for her to be kept. We can't even say alive because she's unalived officially. You're brain dead. That's it. It's not a coma. You're not asleep. There's no coming back from that. You're done. But because of Georgia's forced birth laws, they're forcing her to be continue to be reanimated, essentially, to be a human incubator, which is disgusting. Let's see. Mariner's coming in with some bullshit. Let's see. He's talking about what is a woman? It's not Michelle Obama. Then you, my friend, don't know what a woman is, because Michelle Obama is the GOAT. God damn, I wish I had her body, her grace, her poise. She is everything that makes a woman. I'm sorry, honey. You need to get it together. But as far as updates on this whole AB front, I really, really want you to uh, follow Jessica Valenti. She is absolutely amazing. She has a newsletter that comes out called AB Every Day. It's the full thing. Just go to smabsmortion.everyday.com and join her Substack. Maureen, thanks so much for the internet engagement points. Very much appreciate you helping my feed grow. Thanks for everybody who's tapping. Really, really appreciate that. Make sure you're following. Again, I come on every morning to give you the news from the future. So as far as some of the reporting that we're seeing from Jessica Valenti, who is on TikTok, so follow her. She's awesome. In her newsletter, AB Every Day. Abortion, I don't know who say it, is back at the Supreme Court. So there is now let's just give you some of this verbatim. All right, so it's heading back to the Supreme Court due to the fact that there are crisis pregnancy centers, which are, or known as CPCs, which are like these fake AB clinics that are popping up right next to typically actual AB clinics. They're literally designed to lure desperate, vulnerable women into what they're believed to be a AB clinic, only to turn the tables and try to give them brochures and information as to why they need to keep their baby. It's awful. It's predatory. It's disgusting. And yet, I think this is kind of the thing that's on the table now. So, New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin launched an investigation into First Choice, which is a CPC, to determine whether the center violated state consumer fraud laws by lying about the services that they offer, which they do. It's horrible. There's actually there's quite a few exposés that have been done on these people. They're really, really disgusting. The same people you see like protesting outside of AB clinics, they when they're done, they walk back into these CPCs essentially. What's really disgusting is I would love for you guys to look up an amazing article called My AB Was the Only Moral AB, I think it's called. Or the only moral smabsmortion was my smabsmortion. And it details all these accounts of actual providers and doctors and nurses at these clinics literally seeing the people who are protesting outside sneak in because they need one and then are back on the front lines the next day, so it's just a disgusting mindset, this whole forced birth movement. I'll get the little, okay. So it's crazy. It's disgusting. And now, again, it's headed back to the Supreme Court to justify, they need to justify whether or not what they're doing is disillusioning people and sending them on the wrong path. So I'm very happy to see that. It's not a bad thing, but unfortunately with the SCOTUS that we have, Paul, thank you. Oh, you're in San Fran. I really, really hope that you guys are okay. We're going to get into some stuff that's happening with California and Chicago and Illinois and New York really soon, so stay tuned. As far as this particular case, again, it sounds like it's good. Like they're actually going to start litigating the fact that these CPCs are lying to women or pregnant people, excuse me. And so I really, really hope that that's the case. But with the SCOTUS that we have, that Trump put into power, it could very well turn into this thing where suddenly they're justified or they're validated. And so not only will we probably end up seeing more of them, but the ones that are already lying to women, lying to pregnant people, making it difficult for actual providers to give services and giving misinformation. Like they'll tell the whole heartbeat bill stuff is just bullshit to me, because when you hear the baby's heartbeat, that's not the actual baby's heartbeat you're hearing. That's literally the sonogram machine, like replicating a noise so that you can hear the whooshing of the blood go through the forming arteries and stuff. So you're not hearing an actual heartbeat. So the whole premise of a heartbeat bill is insane to me. But those kind of things are going to get so many more legs and have so much more backing if SCOTUS takes this case and bastardizes it when it's intended to call out CPCs for lying to pregnant people. So we'll see. Let's keep an eye on it. Yes, a man can get pregnant. What are you talking about? If you're a trans man and you have a uterus, you can get pregnant. And so, also, if you're non-binary, you can get pregnant. If you were born with a unexpressed SRY gene, you're biologically and phenotypically a male, but there have been XY chromosome people who have delivered babies. So yes. So know what you're talking about before you talk. That would be the simplest thing. All right, so let's keep an eye on that case. A man cannot get pregnant. Yeah, but I just told you like so many ways that you can. Yeah, it's so many bots. That's why I really shouldn't even engage. But again, thanks for the comments. You're just helping me out. You're just giving me those internet points. So I really appreciate that. So keep them coming, Marie. And honestly, I see some of your things are actually getting like blocked. That's not me, because I appreciate all of it. Come on. More. I'm like Homer Simpson in hell with the donut machine. More points. Keep tapping. Follow me, Marine. Keep commenting. I want TikTok to know that people are engaging with this, so you're helping me so much. I really appreciate it. But let's move on. I want to talk about the whole LA situation. There was this case, and I want to show the article. Oh, just to kind of have a final thought, because with the my stuff's not switching. I'm having all kinds of issues with my OBS system. I'm high TikTok, but I'm also streaming to YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Rumble. And it seems like my equipment is not wanting to help me out today. So let's see if I can fix this really quickly, because I want to show you guys who can see the article. Here we go. All right, so there's a article from NPR about how the Supreme Court is going to be in such a crunch because there's only like 2 weeks left in their term. And so a lot of people don't know how, I guess, the life cycle of a Supreme Court works, but every term, or once within like a certain set of months within a certain year, they have certain cases that they kind of have to wrap or conclude. So now they have like 20 cases left. And a lot of them are what are called their shadow docket. So you have when an administration, a government will basically say, hey, you have some cases on your docket that you have to push through. I'm pushing for an emergency docket. And so let's listen to this really quickly. This is so interesting. So in the George W. Bush and Obama administrations, a period of 16 years, the government filed a request for emergency action only 8 times. That's one every 2 years. The two administrations together only got half of those for, approved to the outcome that they wanted over 16 years. In Trump's first term, he ordered the blockage of lower court orders 41 times. Of those, he got 28 of his cases toward the outcome that he wanted. We're less than a year, only a few, 4 months into 5 months into Trump's presidency. 6 months? Is it 6 months? God damn. Into Trump's presidency. And in the first 20 weeks, he has sought emergency action 19 times. It's not like they don't have other shit to do, okay? And this is just the emergency or the shadow docket that they have to face. And they have 2 weeks left in this term. Some of the big cases that they have to look at are going to be the trans kids and puberty blockers cases, but also the birthright citizenship issue. So they're going to have to really litigate these things, and in such a truncated time. Who knows, again, who knows what's going to happen. So seeing these kind of cases with the AB clinics come up is going to be very interesting to see how they railroad them and steamroll them into the outcomes that this administration and that Heritage Foundation wants and that Palantir wants. So we'll have to see. Let's just keep our eyes on all these things. As you know, every day we'll just kind of keep tracking things. But let's move on. Speaking of some of these cases, they did allow Trump to essentially let the National Guards for California be federalized and be activated. But as we talked about yesterday, of the 4,000 guardsmen who were basically activated against the governor's wishes in California, only about 700 of them were actively sent out to the protests. The rest were engaged with basically assisting ICE in their raids. And so Bloomberg reports that Trump orders ICE to expand deportations into its largest cities, including New York and Chicago. So he specifically mentioned LA, New York, and Chicago in a press conference. This should be really scary. And I also want to show you guys, and again, if you're on TikTok, you can't see my visuals, but I'm going to show you the actual order, the memo that invoked Title 10 that Trump utilized. And let's read a segment from it that I think is extremely interesting. So the memo is titled, you can look it up for yourself, it's on the whitehouse.gov or whitehouse.gov. The Department of Defense Security for the Protection of Department of Homeland Security Functions. Okay, so here's the memo. And this is the portion that I find to be very interesting. It says, I hereby call into federal service members and units of the National Guard under 10 U.S.C. Title 10 to temporarily protect ICE and other United States government personnel who are performing federal functions, including the enforcement of federal law, and to protect federal property at locations where protests against these functions are occurring or are likely to occur based on current threat assessments and planned operations. This does not say LA. Okay. This does not say California. This says at locations where protests may or may not be happening, may or may not happen in the future, So then he specifically calls out Chicago and New York, and we just had the whole No Kings situation, and that was in 2,169 different locations where protests are occurring that he could easily. Now the LA protests were very specific to the ICE arrests and the ICE raids, but who's to say these 2,169 locations that had No Kings protests that they weren't going against what ICE wanted, and that he can't just send the military anywhere he wants to, because it's not just the National Guard. He also says to carry out this mission, the deployed military personnel may perform these military protective activities. And it says, in addition, the Secretary of Defense may employ any other members of the regular armed forces as necessary to augment and support the protection of federal functions and property in any number determined appropriate in his discretion. In other words, Fox News weekend host Pete Hegseth has the discretion, when we know he's up Trump's ass, who's going to just hand puppet him to do whatever the fuck he wants, to send the military, not just federalizing the National Guard, the actual military, which we have seen activated, 700 Marines, you know, into anywhere on US soil. So it's just, it's mind blowing. We are in the fourth fucking Reich, okay? We're in the fourth fucking Reich. So it's just, we're here, y'all. We've been here. We've been here. And I talked yesterday, of course, we talked about the Minnesota pew pews. Um, I honestly, this is gonna sound horrible. There was a congressman or senator, somebody, Tim Miller, I think it is. I'm probably getting that wrong. Tim Cook, I don't know, some dude. But literally, as things were unfolding, he's tweeting, "Oh, this is what you get. This is what you get in a Marxist regime." And then like double down talking about, this is Nightmare on Wall Street. Like it's fucking funny. Like people being unalived is what they deserve. Like it's mind blowing. So yesterday, in light of the Minnesota pew pews, I was saying that I don't think that the people who were at the No Kings protest, I don't think any leftist, liberal, even any conservative who just has their eyes open thinks that we are in conflict or at war with our fellow man or our fellow MAGAs. I think that they think that they're in a civil war with us. And I absolutely feel like yesterday or Saturday was the first shots across the bow officially in this civil war that they have launched in their own minds. And so I absolutely hope that you all will be very careful. Because that guy had multiple people on his list who were just pro-choice. They were providers or they were advocates. It wasn't just politicians. So I think we need to just make sure we have each other's back. Let's be a little bit smart. We were saying yesterday how everybody needs to start acting like women. Women are told, if you're being pulled over, make sure you call 911 to check that that's actually a cop who's performing a traffic stop before you open the door to a policeman. Women are told to call 911 and just ensure that they are actually being sent out. Women are told to walk with, their keys between their fingers. Women are told to not go out at night. Women are told to, have your neck on a swivel. So, I mean, we all need to just have that extra level of awareness that I think all women are taught and told to have. So it's kind of sad, but I mean, I think we're here. Again, I think we're here. I think that the Civil War that they have in their minds longed for and I don't know, have kind of begged for in a sense is is happening due to them starting it. So just again, be careful. But let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about just some other headlines that I'm seeing that I think are really important. Let's see. My encoder is acting up again, so let's just pop it back up. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, just speaking about the Trump administration, that includes Hegseth, that includes Kristi Noem, who was, the person over Homeland Security who was basically who was being activated with that memo that we just read a little bit of. But also Health and Human Services. We have what's his face? Robert F. Kennedy Jr., this crazy man. Oh, I'm sorry, Jay. Jay said I'm not interacting. Let me see what you said, baby. I'm sorry. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not gonna read that. You're just stupid. He said, I see you enjoy talking to yourself and not interacting. So enjoy your 3 followers. I know. I'm shadow banned. So the fact you see me at all is amazing. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna keep going. So there's an article by Forbes that's detailing how razor blade throat symptoms are occurring because this new COVID-19 variant called Nimbus is starting to spread in America. It was seen internationally, and now it's really happening in America a lot more frequently lately. And it's probably going to become the dominant variant if it hasn't already. And we have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just now basically disbanding the entire vaccine committee at the CDC, and then installing his own pro crazy, anti-vax people into, that position to basically monitor vaccines for the CDC. So I mean, we live in this crazy land where nothing's real. It's a kakistocracy where basically the worst people are put in place right as we have the COVID-19 variant that gives you razor blade throat starting to become the dominant strain in America. It's crazy to me. And he literally also just made a specific proclamation essentially about COVID-19. He said that, children and pregnant women don't need to get the vaccine. They don't need to get boosters anymore. Who are you to say this? Especially with razor blade throat becoming the dominant strain, the Nimbus strain. So it's insane to me, Good luck with that. Again, luckily I escaped the United States. Selfish, all my Russian bots just say potato if you're a real person. Say potato. How are fear mongering when razor blade throat is something Forbes is saying is a thing, not me. All right. I called it. They've officially fired Terry Moran from ABC News. I said that. I said that right away. He said, do I always talk to bots? Yeah, because that's all that TikTok puts up for me because I'm shadow banned. So, again, if you're a real person and you're seeing this, you better follow, keep tapping. 5.6K taps. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that because you're never going to see me again. The fact that you're seeing me at all is amazing. I only have like 100 and something followers on YouTube. I've been doing this for almost a year and a half now. So, yeah, I'm shadow banned. So, you're lucky if you're seeing me. But again, ABC News has officially let Terry Moran go for calling Trump and Stephen Miller world-class haters on Twitter, not even like to their face or in an official capacity. So, yeah, again, we're in the Fourth Reich. We're in the Fourth Reich. A watchdog says that the Trump administration has violated the Impoundment Act for a second time because of how they've been misappropriating funds for the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Nothing's going to happen with that. Nothing's going to happen with that. He just violated the Emoluments Act for the who knows how many times getting that Qatar airplane. So yeah, nothing's going to happen. So these headlines I'm reading just to let you know, like these are things that are going on, but they're not going to change anything or do anything. And let's go ahead and get this flipped back up for you guys. So that's the Terry Moran article. And this is the Washington Post about the Impoundment Act violation. Also, Senate Republicans unveil their plan for cuts to Medicaid and trying to reduce the taxes that were in the big, beautiful bill that they now have to vote on, which they will. It's going to pass. Of course it will. We live in the Fourth Reich. So that's just the latest update. I have a really interesting article here from The Guardian about Marcy Shore, who is a historian. She's a professor of fascism. And she left the United States. She said the lesson of 1933 is get the fuck out. I did. She did. Her husband did. Another person that they worked with What was his name? Starkley. Yeah, Starkley. He did. So, if you got the people who are literally telling you this is what happened then, we are exactly following in those footsteps right now. And so I'm out of here. She moved to Canada. Y'all, if you can go, get the fuck out. Okay? If you can't go to standwithsophie.com now and join for free just to get my survival guide so we can at least try to get through Trump's America together. If you can't go, if try to move, if you can't move to a more blue state, even then it doesn't matter because you see that they can activate the military anywhere. Selfish and Marine, you're still here? Thanks so much for the internet points and for showing the engagement. You're helping me so much. TikTok is seeing that people are liking this and commenting. So keep it up, friend. I really, really appreciate it. But yeah, so like check this article out from The Guardian. It's stellar. All right. So then let's move into some more international news. Trump was at the G7. It used to be the G8 until Russia got kicked out, but Trump was at the G7 conference in, guess where? Canada. So they had it in Canada this year, which is so funny to me because he's been acting an ass towards them. And then he ended up leaving early, talking about, oh, I'm leaving because of what's going on in the Middle East. No, he left because he didn't want to include the United States in a joint, basically, demand that his real, put a ceasefire in their actions with Iran, and I think with what they're doing to Gaza. So he refused to engage or join in on a joint statement from the G7, and that's why he left. So it's a sad situation. Essentially, we're if you are to believe the Trump administration, they're trying to say, oh, we don't want to be involved. We don't want to be involved. And then we find out that the weapons that his real use were from us. And then we find out that Trump's like, yeah, I gave it the green light. So it's like, oh my God. He's literally trying to pull us. I thought this was the anti-war president. I thought no new wars, right? Again, here we go. And then also, so now he's acting like he's Switzerland, and he says he's going to work on something bigger than a ceasefire. So again, he opted out of signing a G7 statement on Iran calling for peace and stability. He just left. And now he's saying, oh, I got something bigger. Much bigger than that. So, who knows what that will be? Who knows what that's even alluding to? It's affecting oil prices. It's affecting, of course, like the people of Tehran are like, what the fuck is happening? We don't want to turn into Gaza. Can they please stop? This is stupid. But yeah, we talked a little bit about the Americas and the British people's influence on Iran for the last few hundred years, from BP to the installing a new Shah and stuff like that. So, our hands are not clean on this at all. And we'll just see. Again, one more to keep an eye on. We'll see how everything happens and plays out. Dennis said weapons used by Palestine were from us as well. Yeah, yeah, we're there's an excellent movie called The God of War. It stars Nicolas Cage. Oh my God, it's so good. It's basically about an arms dealer and like how any war is fine, any war is good, and I think that's how America feels. So yeah, that's it though for the big headlines of the day. As far as an update on the Minnesota shooter, his name is Vance Bolter. They did catch him. And we also learned that he actually went to 4 different houses, not just the 2, but the 2 houses that he went to between the Hoffmans and the Hortmans. One was on vacation, and the other one, basically, they stopped him. A woman police officer pulled up beside him and kind of spooked him away. And so, thank goodness that there wasn't more bloodshed and also that he was caught. I feel like this is what cops need to do. This is the cops' job, okay? This is what the cops need to be doing. And so I'm happy to see excellent police work was enacted. I really appreciate the bravery of the Hoffman's daughter who made the initial call when she found her parents. I don't know how old she is. I don't think anybody said. So if it's a little girl, like that's crazy that she had to find her parents like that. Even if it's a grown woman, to find your parents like that is insane. And to have the wherewithal to manage the situation, get people out, and then again for the excellent police work to say, hey, this is a politician. Let's check on the other politicians in the area, and then to actually discover the shooter. Then it's incredible to see law enforcement actually working. And so again, very glad that we're. Oh my God, did you call him Keg's Breath? Yeah, Keg's Breath at the helm. Things should be great. Um, oh, somebody said they think they're coming out with a sequel to Lord of War. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was such a good movie. I'm such a Nick Cage fan. I don't think he can do anything I won't just love to pieces. Even like Ghost Rider, as shitty as that movie was, I love it. I love it. I love everything. I love The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Oh my God, such a good movie. Was it Pedro Pascal was in that? No, oh my God, such a good movie. So anyway, watch Nicolas Cage. Let's keep an eye on some of these things. Now that you know the headlines that should matter today, you know, just keep them in the back of your mind. We can woo-saw. Nothing crazy should be happening today. We're just going to kind of keep everything on the back burner. So now you know you can go about the rest of your day in peace and calm, and we'll see you tomorrow morning with some more. I'm going to try to get my little 3-minute headline recap done for you guys, and then we'll head out so we can see you tomorrow. But let's see. My encoder has not been cooperating, so let's give it a shot. All right. Okay, hi. And okay, there we go. Hi, I'm Sophie of standwithsophie.com. I was fortunate enough to leave the US and move to the UK. And so since I'm 5 hours into America's future, I'm here to give you the headlines that might matter today. And I can do it without worrying about being disappeared. So let's jump right in. First off, let's as always, give an update on Adriana Smith. And my news thing is just so dumb. Come on. For those of you on TikTok, you're probably like, what is she talking about? But if you're watching anywhere else, like my encoder's not wanting to show things that I'm putting up. So there we go. Okay. So Adriana Smith is on day 119 of being forced to be reanimated to be a human incubator experiment. The Supreme Court is now hearing a case about the CPCs, or the crisis pregnancy centers, that should hopefully show how they are lying to pregnant people about the services that they offer. But given the SCOTUS that we have in place, I am not very optimistic about that. And I hope that this doesn't open the door for more places like this to pop up and basically terrorize very, very vulnerable people at the most vulnerable time of their lives. But we'll see. Also, speaking of the Supreme Court, they are awesome. I did it. Speaking of the Supreme Court, they are facing new headwinds, according to NPR, with only about 2 weeks left in their term, when they still have about 20 cases to decide, including the majority of those being on their shadow docket, or their emergency docket. Basically, when the government, especially the president or the president's administration, requests an emergency action, those kind of get put to the top of the ticket, and that's what the shadow docket is called. And we have the thickest, juiciest one ever. There are 19 cases on the shadow docket, and that's, I think, about as many as Biden had in all 4 years. And we're only 6 months in with Trump, so we'll see how that goes. Speaking of Trump, he has ordered ICE to expand deportations in some of the largest cities like LA, New York, and Chicago, according to Bloomberg. And then also, and it's not keeping up. Let me just, well, I'm gonna do it again. All right, so Trump has ordered ICE to expand deportations in the largest cities, including New York and Chicago, and of course, more in LA. And I wanted to read the segment of that memo that where he invoked Title 10 just to bring home how insane this is. Okay, so he says, I hereby call into federal service. Why is this thing acting up? Y'all, I'm sorry. Let me try to. Okay, come on now. Here we go. Sorry. Okay, so the Department of Defense. No, let me just start with the part I want to read. Okay. So speaking of the ICE efforts and federalizing the National Guard, Trump has said in that original memo, I hereby call into federal service members and units of the National Guard under Title 10 to temporarily protect ICE and other United States government personnel who are performing federal functions, including the enforcement of federal law, and to protect federal property at locations where protests against these functions are occurring or are likely to occur. Okay? At locations. It didn't specify LA. It didn't specify California. So the fact that now he's calling up all these blue cities and blue states, Chicago, New York, it's not a good look. And also he says, in addition, the Secretary of Defense may employ any other members of the regular armed forces as necessary to augment and support the protection of federal functions and property in any number determined appropriate in his discretion. So again, not only is he militarizing and federalizing the National Guard, but he's going to do the same with the Marines, as he's already shown that he's willing to do. So it's awful. We're in the Fourth Reich. So moving on. Let me see if it switches. Yeah, okay, so we also are facing new symptoms from a new variant called Nimbus of COVID-19 that is starting to spread and become the dominant strain in America. And the symptom that I'm most interested in is called razor blade throat. So, yeah, the fact that the CDC Vaccine Council was just disbanded and everybody on that was fired, and then they replaced them with anti-vax hoax crazy people. Thanks, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We're all going to get razor blade throat. So also, I called this. I knew it was going to happen. The suspension of Terry Moran from ABC News is now permanent for the massive sin of let me check my notes. Calling Donald Trump and Stephen Miller world-class haters. All right. A watchdog in the Washington Post says, or this is reported in the Washington Post, a watchdog says that the Trump administration has violated the Impoundment Act for a second time for how he has misappropriated funds that were due for the Institute of Museum and Library Services. It did not distribute money that it had received appropriately or at all. Let me try to say that a little better. So, yeah, so Trump has violated the Impoundment Act for a second time. It says that he withheld congressionally appointed or appropriated funds from, I can't seem to read today. I'm sorry. He withheld congressionally appropriated funds when the Institute of Museum and Library Services did not distribute money that it had received. Nothing's going to happen from this at all. Senate Republicans unveil plans for cuts to Medicaid and taxes in Trump's agenda bill, the big beautiful bill. Yeah, it's gonna pass. It's gonna pass just fine, because of course it will. Really interesting article you guys should check out from The Guardian called Why a Professor of Fascism Left the United States. She says the lesson of 1933 is you get out. Again, so lucky that I was fortunate enough to get to the UK. If you can get out, get out. If you can get to a blue state, even though it might not matter soon, but try, get out, get to safety. If you can't, go to standwithsophie.com. Please join us there. We have so many tools and resources to help you get through the Fourth Reich safely. Oh, hey, baby. Also, in international news, Trump was attending the G7 in Canada when he cut his visit short because of supposedly what's going on in the Middle East. But I think it's because he refused to sign a joint letter from the G7 that was demanding a ceasefire in the whole Iran Israel thing. And it says he said that the reason he's wanted to do his own thing is because he's working on something bigger than a ceasefire. So we'll see how that works out for him. I must be an HBCU graduate. I went to an HBCU for 2 years. I went to Florida A&M. I don't know why you would assume that that's like a bad thing. They're amazing schools. And I graduated from UNCC for my undergrad and for my graduate degree. So, and for my graduate certifications. So UNCC. But I'm a rattler at heart, always. All right. So, furthermore, we're just going to keep an eye on these things. Just for a quick recap on the Minnesota shootings, the latest news is that he actually went to 4 houses, not just the 2. And so one politician was on vacation and the other one was saved because basically a female police officer saw Vance Bolter's vehicle and tried to stop him and question him about, was he sent out to go to her house or what was happening? And he just stone faced her and then fled the scene. So I think that that's just such a lucky incident, that there wasn't more that happened that night. So, that's it for the news you can use. And we'll see you tomorrow morning for more of Today in the Fourth Reich. And thank you guys. I really appreciate all the badges and wow. User, you got a gift badge. Big ups. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the taps. We got to 5.7K. Thank you. I know wireless, that was a big part of your handiwork. So guys, make sure you follow the wireless woman. She's incredible. Make sure you follow, share, do all the free stuff. If you feel like you're able to spare a penny for a heart me gift, then join my team. I got one. Thank you. That's so nice. But again, I know I'm shadow banned, so I don't take it personally that I have small attendance. So if you're here, please know how much I appreciate you and love you. And I hope you all love one another, but with permission. Alrighty, friends. We'll see you tomorrow. Alrighty. Bye, YouTube.